The Netherlands brought up a very important issue at the UN this week. They wanted a full investigation and inquiry into war crimes and human rights abuses in Yemen. Now, this is an issue that we've been talking about for a while now. I feel like 2 or 3 times a month we do segments on all the civilians that are killed in Yemen by Saudi airstrikes, U.S.-led Saudi airstrikes with U.S. weapons. But Saudi Arabia blocked it. They blocked the attempted UN inquiry into war crimes and abuses in Yemen. And the U.S. didn't do dick about it. So whenever we get on our high horse and we start lecturing people about freedom and democracy and human rights, remember this. Remember this. The Netherlands said, hey, let's look into human rights abuses in Yemen. And the U.S. was like, about that. Can we get back to you? So let me give you some more details on this. Vice News says, quote, a Dutch-led effort to create a human rights mission for Yemen was abandoned Wednesday amid intense Saudi opposition at the UN, but human rights experts are laying blame in part at the feet of the United States, which failed to vigorously back the Netherlands and may have worked behind the scenes to head off the independent investigation. A Saudi-led coalition has bombed Yemen since late March in an attempt to push back Houthi rebels and their allies and reinstate a Sunni government. The U.S. and U.K. Offers logistical support for the coalition in addition to selling billions of dollars in weapons to its members, including Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. U.S. officials say American personnel are also involved in providing targeting assistance for airstrikes, which the UN says are responsible for the majority of the more than 2,300 civilian deaths in the conflict in the past 6 months. Okay, so in other words, not only is Saudi Arabia responsible for all the civilian deaths that are occurring, the U.S. is also responsible. Because we're selling them weapons. Not only are we selling them weapons, we know what they're doing with those weapons and how many innocent people are being killed. We don't care, we're still selling them weapons. And we're also, as they lay out here, we're providing the targets, and then they're bombing the targets. And then like the other week, we heard they bombed a wedding. Now, at the time, I was actually wrong because I blamed that almost totally on Saudi Arabia. I said we're responsible for the weapons and stuff, but I said they're the ones who bombed the wedding. That's actually not correct. It's the U.S. providing the targets. So Saudi Arabia bombed the targets the U.S. picked out, and it was a fucking wedding. So we're guilty of war crimes here as well, which explains why we weaseled our way out of an investigation into this. So the U.S. really got sleazy on this one. Every time the motion would come up for a vote, the U.S. would do this. And then afterwards, when the media would say, what was up with the Yemen thing? Oh, yeah, no, see, we got to work something out, and we're always on the side of human rights, and I just want everybody to know that there's a compromise to be had here, and we're totally in favor of looking into what's happening in Yemen. And then it would come up again in the meetings. And they'd be like, okay, who's in favor? U.S. be like, about that. And this would happen over and over. And then at the end, when it was all over, the Netherlands was like, okay, this isn't fucking getting anywhere. We got to drop it. Sucks, but we got to do it. And then afterwards, the White House and Kerry and what's her name? I forget the other one's name. Forgive me for not remembering it. Power? No, might not be that. They were like, oh, yeah, no, we should totally we should look into what's happening in Yemen right now and stop the abuse of and the killing of civilians and the human rights atrocities. That should totally be done. And everybody's like, you just fucking blocked it. You didn't say Dickie McGee's axe. Saudi Arabia was coming out against it like a bat out of hell, and the U.S. was like, so they had to drop it. So, I mean, it's just pathetic, and this is why, one of the many reasons why many people hate the U.S. right now, and why polls consistently show